Mike, I saw the BCS standings came out. I was shocked. They were showing the top 10, and then they put down below the local team. 21 had Penn State. I'm like, huh? Huh? 6-1. Computer rankings, I got to ask you about that. I think that plays a factor with the BCS, and how does that help Penn State? And they're 21, but they're even higher in certain areas, right?
Well, here's how it works. 1/3 of the BCS formula is the Harris poll, which is an amalgamation. It's kind of a strange group.
I like that.
Some media people, some ex-coaches and officials and things. The other is the coaches poll, the USA Today poll. And then the other third is an average of 5 computer rankings. And the computer rankings have a very strong strength of schedule component, but are not allowed, they are actually prohibited by the BCS from factoring in margin of victory. So you have, for example, Wisconsin, who looks like one of the best 3, 4, 5 teams in the country, that is actually number 6 in the BCS because they haven't played a real tough schedule and they've killed everybody they played, but killing everybody doesn't count. It counts to some extent subjectively with the polls, you know. Penn State is 22nd in the BCS, 16th in the computers. So playing Alabama, even though they lost, has helped them. And they actually have played, everybody says, well, how about an easy schedule they play? They actually have played a tougher schedule, at least according to the computers, than a lot of other teams because their computer rank is higher than their poll rank.
This BCS ranking would have come in handy, or the computer not taking in the margin back in '94 when Penn State, undefeated, phenomenal team, especially offense, but they had defensive players too. Beats Indiana, but at the end, Joe pulled back the troops, and Indiana scores late, and they dropped in the polls. Well, that wouldn't have played a factor with the computer. That margin wouldn't have mattered. The other thing I find is interesting was Penn State struggled against Indiana. I mean, they got the win. It just was ugly. It was a close game. And Wisconsin blows them out, 59-7?
Yeah, just destroyed.
But that margin doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. That's what I'm saying here.
That's interesting.
It matters to some small extent, to the extent that the voters in their heads want to factor it in. But they're not allowed to use it in the computer ranking, which I think is a factor here. Another thing, there's a lot of undefeated teams right now. I think there's 13 undefeated teams in bowl subdivision, and probably. I mean, most of them are going to lose, but not all of them. So it's very possible that we could have 3 or 4 teams undefeated at the end of the year, and obviously only 2 of them get to play with a national championship. The top 2 teams, number 1 and 2, who would play if the season ended today, will play each other in November, LSU and Alabama. So that could end up almost being like in effect, a national semifinal of the national championship.
I'm just going to say, just said semifinal. It should be a playoff system. I'm tired of this because there's going to be more than one.
Without question.
And they should use the New Year's Day bowls as one of the rounds, and then they better be happy with the bowl games. Could Penn State be still eligible for the BCS bowl game? Can they get one of those bigger bowls yet? Is that still out there?
They have to be in the top 12 in the final BCS standings in order to be eligible for a BCS bowl game. And if they were, they would almost certainly get one because the old thing where they travel well, everybody likes Joe Paterno, they're money in the bank as far as TV ratings, et cetera, et cetera. If they go 10-2, which I think is a long shot, I think I can't even imagine them playing with Wisconsin based on what I've seen at Wisconsin. If they go 10-2, looking at this, I think they have an outside chance to finish in that top 12. Some of these teams could be undefeated. They could be ahead of some undefeated teams actually because of strength of schedule. You look at the Boise States of the world, teams in the ACC, and so on and so forth. So obviously it's way too early to even make any sense out of this, but it is possible that they could go 10-2 and end up playing in the Orange Bowl or something like that.